My name is Daniel Wynn, and by day I invest in sports cards, but by night I make videos about investing in sports cards. I am the great curator. Join me on my journey to break even in the hobby that we all love. Hello everyone, I'm the great curator and welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you guys are visiting, thank you so much for stopping by. I do appreciate it. The purpose of this video, just like all my other videos, is for education. This is just my creative way, my fun creative way to share information, share my perspective, my opinion on issues that I think are important in the hobby that I'd like to discuss, and just to help new people who are getting into the hobby learn a little bit, try to navigate some of the waters. It's probably changed a lot since the last time you guys were in the hobby, and to hopefully help you guys avoid some of the common mistakes that we all make. If you're a seasoned investor, seasoned collector, hopefully this will give you some different perspective, which will engage you in some conversation within your community, within your group, and you guys can get value out of that, okay? But the real purpose of these videos is this is my way of using this platform, YouTube, to kind of spread my message, which I'm gonna really promote going forward, is the message of positivity. I want everybody in this hobby to elevate their game, to raise their game by being positive, by being respectful, by being helpful, and just conducting themselves like gentlemen investors or lady investors, okay? But I call myself a gentleman investor, meaning that I'm always positive, I'm always willing to help people, I'm always kind, respectful in my dealings, and I try to emphasize or highlight the civility that is needed in this hobby, to try to elevate the hobby. And I believe if we do that, we become a stronger community and we raise the value of our cards. I think that sometimes we lose the mindset of that because we're so focused on profit. I see a lot of negativity sometimes in the hobby. I see a lot of people complaining. I see sometimes people, they're bad actors that will take advantage of other people. And I don't like that, guys. We need to get rid of that, okay? We need to stomp that out. We as a community must police ourselves to get rid of all that negativity, because if it hurts and undermines the credibility of our hobby, okay? If we want people to take us seriously for collecting cards and saying that these cards are real assets that hold value, we have to make sure that we protect the community, protect the hobby. And the way we do that is by taking this mentality, this attitude of becoming gentlemen investors, okay, guys? So that's the message that I want to spread. I will continue to hone that message to make it more concise in all my videos, but I think that you guys get my point on that, okay? All right, if you guys get value out of these videos, please watch my other videos. You know, I always say like, subscribe, and share, but really the best way for me to help you guys or to spread my message is to have you guys watch my other videos. I talk about a lot of different topics that I think are helpful. So if you guys get any value out of this video, please watch the other ones. And if you like them, please like, subscribe, share. That really helps me out. That really encourages me to continue to make these videos. And as I continue to make more of these videos, I will get better, I will improve, I will invest more time and money into it. I promise you that. And I will improve the quality of the content, which hopefully in turn will improve the quality of the videos and content for you guys to get more value out of, okay? All right, so with that, today's topic is gonna be an interesting one. I got this through a request, so I decided to kind of talk about this. I don't know why I never thought about it before, but this video is gonna be understanding the different grading companies, okay? Understanding the different grading companies. I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of history of how these companies formed, why we have them in the hobby now, the differences that I see in these companies, and things that I think that you guys should avoid, okay, when purchasing graded cards. All right, so let's just get right into it. All right, so real quick here, the history of the grading companies. I may be a little bit off on this. This is what I believe, this is what I know, okay? So, you know, do your own research, but basically, you know, these grading companies came out in the early 90s, starting with PSA, and I believe SGC was around back then. And the original intent of the grading companies was to authenticate the cards. Before that, we just collected raw cards. You know, nobody really cared about it. The only time we cared about cards, when we looked at the conditions, was like the cornerings of the cards, maybe if they had any marks on them, if they had any creases, things like that. We didn't really care about surface issues or centering as much, things like that. But what was happening is there were a lot of vintage cards being faked, okay, back in the day. So these companies came out to basically encapsulate the card and authenticate it, that it was legit, and that's what they were there for. And then they started adding grades for the condition, right? And for the most part, people really didn't care about graded cards in the 90s, as I remember. Okay, I don't know when it became a thing, maybe in the 2000s or late or 2000 teens or something like that. But fairly recently, the condition of the cards became a major factor, a major selling point for these companies. And now, through decades of marketing and establishing themselves, the hobby, the community has accepted graded cards as a thing, and this is basically all that we care about now, okay? So that's basically the history. The three main grading companies, PSA, SGC, BGS, Beckett, all right? And then there are a bunch of other companies, which I'll talk about later on at the end of the video. But that's basically the history of the grading companies. They started out authenticating cards, now they grade cards, and now that has set the benchmark or the standard of how we collect cards today. Now, why do we collect cards? Why do we grade cards now? There's a couple reasons. There's many reasons, actually, but here are the three reasons that I want to highlight. Number one is that by grading with these companies, they have established a database where they catalog the cards and they keep a record. Before that, we didn't know. We didn't know how many graded Michael Jordan rookie cards were out there. We didn't even know how many Michael Jordan rookie cards existed, all right? We still don't know. But by grading the companies, by establishing a serial number where they can be tracked and having an online database, it makes it very easy for us to see what the population reports on these cards are. And it's kind of a funny thing because we'll look and we'll say like, okay, there's a pop count on this one card. I'll use this Kobe Bryant, for example, okay? I'm just gonna make it up. Let's just say there's a pop count of 3,000. Then we believe that there's only 3,000 of this card in that grade, even though there could be hundreds of thousands more in existence in different grading companies or just raw cards or things like that. But in the collector mindset, the pop count that's it. There's no other cards that exist outside of the pop count. So it's just a way for us to kind of catalog and keep track of how many cards are out there because we care about that stuff, okay? We love exclusivity, okay? As a collector, you want to have exclusive things. You want to know how many other people have that same card. It makes you feel good for whatever reason, okay? So that's one reason. The second reason is that these cards, they add value. When they're graded and they're cataloged and they're established whatever a grade is, it adds value to the card. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. I think people want security. They want peace of mind. So they want to know the card is real. They want to know it's authentic. They want to know what the expert opinion has said about the condition of the card. They want to be able to track it. They want all that stuff. So that's why we put a premium value on a graded card versus a raw card. Why we put a premium value on a high grade card versus a low grade card. It just adds value to the card for those reasons, okay? And then the last reason that people grade cards or they collect graded cards is that's just where the hobby is now, okay? And I might get some pushback on this, but that's really what it is, guys. If you go to card shows, pay attention to what you see there. The guys that have all the raw cards, especially vintage cards, they don't get as much attention as the people who have the graded cards. Most people, like 90% of people at shows, will have graded cards on their table because that's just how we transact as a hobby now. That's where the hobby is. We have shifted away from raw cards to graded cards. That's where it is. I don't see that going anywhere. I mean, people buy raw cards a lot, but they buy raw cards because they have the intention to grade them, not necessarily because they want to add it to their collection, okay? That's just where the hobby is now. We have to recognize that, guys. If you don't recognize this and you think that you're just going to buy a bunch of raw cards, you may not get the return on value that you're expecting with that, okay? This is where the hobby is today. We transact with raw cards. It's just easier to sell them. It's easier, graded cards. It's easier to sell them. It's easier to move them. It's easier to collect them. That's where the hobby is, okay, guys? All right. Now, why do we care about a graded card versus a different graded card, okay? Let me go over this first. Sorry, guys, I almost jumped it. There's three different grading companies that are the top players in the game right now. There is PSA, which I've been showing you guys in all my videos. There's Beckett, BGS, and then there is SGC, all right? So let me just quickly talk about the differences between these companies. And I'm not gonna talk about the differences in the cases or the labels. Other people have talked about that, so you can go review their videos and see, you know, what the difference is in this. They obviously look different, okay? So I'm not gonna talk about the physical differences. I'm gonna talk about how we value these cards differently, all right? And what sets them apart. All right, so real quick here, PSA is the king of grading. That's where it is right now. They have the most graded cards out there. They have the most complete database, and their cards hold the most value. So everybody collects PSA, okay? So the alternative to that is BGS, okay? I would say this is the second tier grading company. All right, BGS, the distinction between BGS and PSA is that BGS often has subgrades on their cards. They add the subgrade. And that was their marketing ploy, their gimmick to distinguish themselves from PSA. You know, you can't just come into the grading market and say, well, our cards should be at equal value to PSA, because everybody was already collecting PSAs. It was already established. So BGS, they came up with the gimmick of coming up with subgrades to make their cards, to give more information, to add more value to their cards. And then they came up with a subgrade of 9.5, which PSA does not have. And then they elevated it to a BGS 10 grade and a BGS Black Label 10 grade. I've talked about this in another one of my videos about adding artificial values to the cards. Whether you believe that or not, that is accepted in the hobby now. So that is what makes BGS different from PSA, all right? It's just a different way they market their cards. And then you have SGC, which is another well-established company. This is a third tier company. They don't have subgrades, but they do have the 0.5 grades, just like these other companies, okay? And their labels look different. And their cards usually are worth less than BGS, okay? So the distinction, so what is the distinction between these cards, okay? These three grading companies, that's what this whole video is about, okay? And in terms of the card itself, let's just say these are all three of the same card, but in three different grading company holders, all right? But let's just say they're all the same card. The difference between these cards, there's no difference. It's the same card, okay? Let's just say all of these were the top condition, 10, 9.5, 9.5, or 10, right? What is the difference in terms of condition of these cards? To the naked eye, they're indistinguishable. They are indistinguishable in terms of the grade, the condition of the cards, all right? Don't think that a PSA 10 is graded better than a BGS 9.5 or a SGC 9.5 because it's all subjective. There are human graders grading these cards, and we know from other videos where people crack cards and send them in that sometimes the grades can change, all right? So human graders grade these, so they're all subjective. So the differences are really indistinguishable. Like a common person, a regular collector will not be able to tell the difference just by looking at the card itself between a PSA 10, a BGS 9.5, or an SGC 9.5, okay? Very little differences between them. So the real difference, okay, between these is the value, the resale value of the card, all right? They resell for different prices for whatever reason. For some reason, people value SGC less than these two cards because SGC used to focus on great vintage cards, but now they're getting into the modern market, so they're still new. People value BGS less than PSA. I don't know why. It used to be the other way around, but now PSA is king. I think it has to do mostly with marketing, but they do that, okay? So that is really the only distinction between these cards themselves, okay? As far as the cards go, there's no difference, all right? As far as the condition goes, there's no difference. The only difference is the resale value of the cards, all right? And this is where it gets a little bit kind of weird, all right? The reason we care about these companies and these labels and these cases is because of the resale value. All right, okay. So one thing that, let's talk about the differences a little bit more here, okay? Again, I've already spoken about the appearance of the cards. Some people really like PSA slabs. I collect PSA slabs. I think they're the most appealing to me in terms of aesthetics. Okay, I like these. All right. Some people really don't like the BGS slabs because they think they're old, but some people think they're really high quality. And then some people are mixed about SGC because of the black border. It's all personal preference, guys. Okay. So if you're not thinking about profit, it's all personal preference. All right. If you're looking at the condition in the card, I've already said the conditions of the cards is undistinguishable. Okay. If you're looking at the label, again, it's all personal preference. So the only difference is the value of the card, okay? And then this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So let me talk about things that I want you guys to avoid, all right, when we're looking at these things, all right? Avoid buying the label of the card. Again, let me use this as an example. If we have 3 cards and they're all the same, and they all the conditions are the same, you can't really tell the difference. The only difference is the resale value. Try to avoid buying the label unless that is your intention to resell the card to flip it. If you're looking for an investment, you know, we don't know where the future will take us. We don't know if BGS will become the preferred case in the future. We don't know if SGC will overtake these companies. We don't know if these companies will merge. You don't know what it is. So if you're looking for an investment, try to avoid buying the label, buy the card. You'll probably have better results. But if you're trying to flip the card and make a profit, PSA is definitely the highest one in value, but you will pay a premium for that. Okay. Watch out for fakes. Watch out for fakes. These companies, it's funny. Like they came out to authenticate cards, but now people are able to fake these cards. So watch out for fake labels, fake cases. They can easily be counterfeited these days. People assume that these cards are real, but whenever you transact, just try to search the number on the card to verify it. Try to examine the case, look for anything that could be off or any red flags, because there are fakes out there. Okay. Last thing that I will talk about before I wrap up this video is the new grading companies. So these are the 3 main companies: SGC, PSA, BGS. Okay, but there are also a lot of pop-up companies, a lot of startup companies out there right now, and they make really cool cards, they make really cool labels, things like that, but they're new, guys. And I want you to understand that these companies like HGA, for example, they're brand new. When they come out, their cards are not the same value as an SGC or a PSA. They don't hold the same resale value because they're new. They're not established. They haven't spent the money to market themselves, to establish themselves in this space, in this category. So be careful when you're buying their cards, because essentially what you're buying is a fancy holder. Okay, maybe 10 years down the line, these companies will be established and they will command the same resale value as these other 3 grading companies, but right now they do not. So be careful about that, okay? If you're buying it, understand that you're buying it for the aesthetics of the label, all right? But that's it. They're gonna have very little resale value to it, all right? That's just my opinion. Also, you know, there are some startup companies that are more established than the others. When I went to the Dallas show, I must have saw like 4 or 5 local grading companies there, guys. Local grading companies that were charging what SGC charges for their cards, $20, $30 a card, you know? So just be aware of that, because it's very easy to go online to buy these supplies to be able to slab your own cards. It's very easy to start up a company, but I've talked about this in my previous video where we talk about adding artificial value. Just because you put a card in a slab, you make a label and you assign a grade to it, that does not mean that it holds a secondary premium on the secondary market. Okay, so just be aware of that, guys. I saw a lot of this at Dallas, and it just kind of made me roll my eyes. I met people that were telling me that they're starting their own grading companies, that they're doing all these things, and it's just like, I feel like it's designed to take advantage of people that don't know any better. So just be careful about that. Don't buy into these companies unless you like the way their cards look, but understand that you're buying something that will not have a premium secondary market, premium value on the secondary market. Okay, guys? Okay, so that's basically it. That's my video here. I'm just gonna wrap this up real quick here. Hopefully you guys can understand the difference of the grading companies now. Really, if you're buying it for resale value, understand that PSA holds the highest resale value, then Beckett, then SGC. That may change in the future. If you're buying it for the card itself, then it's all personal preference on the cards, on the value of the cards. So that's it, guys. I feel like I'm going on a little rant here. So that's it. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. Find me on Instagram. If you found this video helpful, please watch my other videos to get other useful information. Please like, subscribe, share, all that's good stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and staying with me till the end. Thank you so much. I will see you next time.